Hello, thank you for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. I am David Pendergrass. I've been reflecting on what it means to be a pastor, what it's like to be a pastor, and some of the traits. I hope this has been helpful to you. This is part 3. If you haven't listened to the first 2 parts, I think you ought to. Most pastors have many distinct jobs that they are expected to do. Regardless if they're on the job description, that doesn't really matter. They're expected to do by the people in the congregation. You're expected to be a preacher, teacher, counselor, technician, conflict resolver, the visionary, a detail-oriented person, an event planner, business entrepreneur, the economist, a budget master, on and on and on and on it goes. You ought to see, go to the job descriptions for some of these churches. Go to churchstaffing.com and put in senior pastor and read some of these job descriptions. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Not all of them. I didn't say all of them. I said some of them. You ought to see some of these job descriptions. And that's just things put in print. But anywhere you go, most of the time, people have a general expectation for the pastor to be a jack of every single stinking trade they need from you. That's what it's like to be a pastor. And if you don't, then you usually have to explain yourself. So, whatever it's worth, that's why in jobs, as a consultant, also no matter where I work, I'm a real big advocate of job descriptions. I do not sign on to a job until I completely concur with the job description. And if there's any issues on there that should be raised, I bring it up as time goes on. I bring it up all the time. Now, personally, I like to do a lot of different things because otherwise I get really bored. So I do not want to just be the preacher and I go home, or preacher and visit hospital and I go home. I like to do other things as well. Most pastors will tell you that. All that to say, my point is, most pastors are expected to do a crazy amount of things. And so the healthier churches disallow that. Healthier churches disallow that. Healthier churches say, no, we're taking the load off. The pastor cannot do everything. Healthy pastors let churches do that. Healthy pastors delegate. Healthy pastors delegate. What I'm saying is most pastors do have many distinct jobs that they're expected to do. Imagine your place of work. How many jobs are you expected to do? How many different roles do you have? I mean, if you're a plumber, are you also a counselor? Are you also a person who's supposed to help someone at the graveside? I mean, you see what I'm saying? There's tons of different various things. And that's why, another reason why I'm so adamant that if you want to go to ministry, you need to get educated. In the modern Protestant church, where they usually poo-poo on education so much, they can't relate, they don't know the real world. That's absolute absurd, stupid nonsense. You need to get training. You need to get formal training by experts to help you process all these different skill sets as best you can. At least be exposed to them. There are really crappy ministers. There are those who do it for the fame, the women, the money, and they ruin it for the rest of us. I've met pastors that way. There are pastors who are completely in it for the wrong reasons. Now, I don't know their subconscious state, but consciously speaking, to hear them say why they're in ministry, why they got in it, or why they're still in it, or why they haven't left. I've known of pastors who literally have left the faith. They've become agnostics or atheists, and they'll say, but I can't quit my job because it's the only thing I know to do, and I'm 50-something years old. They don't even believe it anymore, but they don't want to change professions. There are pastors like that. There are pastors who abuse people. There are pastors who molest people. There are pastors who do bilk the church. They steal money. There are people who are manipulators, people who are power hungry, people who can't wait to run all the people off. Pastors want to make a point, and they ruin it for the rest of us. They ruin it. For the rest of us that are trying the best we can in humble gratitude of the Lord Savior with failure. But consciously, most pastors are not trying to do it for the fame, the money, nothing. Not for the women. None of that nonsense. So it is true. I'm just trying to concede that, to say that some of you have met people like that. That's right. I have met some myself, and I'm very sad to meet them. And I'm very sad of the ways I might have failed other people in ministry. But I do know for a fact, consciously, I've never, ever tried to do any of these things on purpose. That's not why I do them. And most pastors do not do it for these reasons either. I also want to say that pastors, newsflash, they are real, genuine human beings. Now, they're almost never treated that way, though. Pastors are treated like a thing. They're treated like a pastor, or as some people used to call me, preach. This is very, very important to understand. Pastors are human beings. They have a role on their job. Sure, they're the pastor. But most people put them into an emotional, psychological, cultural role. And then the pastor must fit into that role or else. Period. And that's completely unfair and dumb. But that's how it is. But pastors are just real human beings. Pastors are not a thing, and they're not a role. They're a human being, just like you are. Pastors don't have it all figured out. Pastors do not have it all figured out. Pastors don't know everything. They don't have it all figured out. They don't have all the answers. They don't. They might, hopefully, are a specialist in biblical studies and theology and various counseling. They better be a specialist. At least that's my view. But they might not be. But they're just a human. And they're trying to be great spouses. They're trying to be great fathers and mothers, great siblings, great friends. They're trying to have some kind of hobby and interest outside of everybody else's need for them. And it means, of course, since they're humans, that the pastors are going to fail you. They're going to fail you. No, I said it. People extend enormous grace to strangers and people they know, but almost never to pastors. It's just the way it is. People extend enormous grace to strangers. Oh, I know you didn't mean to run over my foot with that cart. I know you didn't mean, oh, it's okay. And people they know, they might extrace, but to pastors, nope. Pastors meant the worst. They acted the worst, and it can never be forgiven. And I'm talking about patterns of sin that should be corrected. Yes, they should. Yeah, they should be. Yeah. If you found a pastor sinning, they should be gracefully approached and loved on, and it should be changed. Yes. But for a lot of people, they don't treat pastors as human beings. You're a character in a movie. You're a one-dimensional, you don't have a character. You are a character, but you have no character. You're not three-dimensional. And they don't want to hear about, they just don't want to hear what your life is, because that leads to my last point, I guess, today on this podcast. And later on, if I think of some more, I'll continue the podcast. But it relates, but they're not the same. Since they're human beings and not just a role, it means that when you need something for your pastor all the time, like I said, they're going to run out of energy. They're going to run out of input. They're going to run out of advice. See, it's hard to imagine this outside of a medical professional and an emotional professional, say a trained therapist. Most professions in the world do not know what it's like to be in a need-based job, a need-based relationship. When I go to my medical physician, I need something from her, from him, and that's the only reason I go. I don't go to my medical professional to ask how they are doing. I want meds. I want to get better. I want some treatment. I want a surgery, whatever. When I go to my therapist, I don't want to go to my therapist to check on how she's doing or he's doing. I will ask them, but in general, I didn't go there to befriend them. If I do that, I go to coffee, lunch, somewhere else. When people go to a pastor, almost every single time you go to a pastor, it's just like those other two professions. They need something. And pastors feel that. They feel that constant need-based relationship. And that means most people, and this is true of most pastors, but most people in the church never, ever, 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 ever check on the pastor. They don't check on them. They don't check on the pastor's doing. They don't check how the pastor's feeling. They don't check how the pastor's what struggles or victories. Now, some might ask, but some people the pastor won't tell you because it means they don't trust you. And it's very unfortunate that some pastors don't ever open up to people because they're so scared to be called out because they're not perfect, or called out because they don't have it all together. Usually it's not because they're deep, deep sinners per se, or they're sinning necessarily, but because they're afraid to be hurt or rejected, or because everyone gossips, everyone tells all your business. So it's hard to find people that you trust. But some pastors never open up, and it's because I've already told you why. They feel the need to be perfect and all that stuff. But a lot of times, if you ask them, they might not say. But sometimes when you do, they're going to tell you. Because you're humans. They're humans. And any human gets tired in a need-based relationship. That's why therapists go to other therapists. That's why therapists, like at a clinic particularly, they will meet with usually the clinician, the main clinician, the director, and they meet once or twice a week. They just debrief in group settings to talk about what it's like. There's all kinds of reasons why they do it. But the point is, pastors are real humans. And when you need something from them all the time, it wears them out. So, they are real humans. Don't put them in a role and say that's all they can do, all they can't do, and have them all figured out and gripe when they don't fit your role. Instead, one idea is encourage them. Try to get to know them. Try to be that weirdo that they can actually trust. Build a relationship with them. Care about them. Love on them. See what you can do to help. Be safe. Be a safe person. It's amazing how far that will go and how much that will mean to a pastor. For you to be that person who doesn't treat them as, hey, preach, but the person who treats the pastor with decency, respect, and humility and says, hey, appreciate you, love you. I want you to know I'm here for you, and I appreciate all you've done for us. I heard these podcasts, and if half of what he said is true, I appreciate what you do for me. I really do, and I want you to know that there are times I need some from you, and that's okay. I know you like that because you would not be in pastoral ministry if you didn't care about me and love me, and I know you do, but I want you to know I'm also here for you, and there's something you need from me. I want to do what I can to be there for you as well. That'll go a far way. Maybe that'll bless your pastor too. I want to finish on a high note because I like to end on a high note, but it's very, very true. I'm going to pause right there. If you don't mind, please listen carefully to these quick announcements.
Ever wonder what God wants you to do with your money? Should I give it all away or save? What did the early church do with their money? In Dr. Pendergrass's book, Give It Away, Reflections on How Christians Use Money, you'll get 4 short, powerful lessons on what to do with money based on some key texts from the New Testament. This is a wonderful guide for study and reflection. It even comes with reflection questions that are perfect for small group discussions. Give It Away, Reflections on How Christians Use Money. Buy your copies today on Amazon.com. Do you know of any skeptics in your family, at work, or among your friends? Do you struggle with questions concerning the existence of God or the truth claims of Christianity? Has a skeptic ever challenged you with a difficult question concerning your faith? Then you need to buy Dr. Pendergrass's book, A Skeptic Challenges a Christian, on Amazon.com. You can get it in paperback or on Kindle or in audiobook form to listen to. A Skeptic Challenges a Christian is written unlike any other book. It's not boring and full of technical jargon. It reads like you're sitting down having a conversation. As one reviewer said, as a college student, I absolutely love this book. Dr. Pendergrass knows how to effectively answer a lot of the questions that my friends at school ask about my faith. This book is a great resource for theological debates and for my own personal growth. The arguments are clear and understandable. I would definitely recommend this book to anyone who has questions about Christianity, wants to learn how to defend their faith, or even just wants a good read. Great book. Find out why it has a perfect 5-star rating on Amazon.com. A Skeptic Challenges a Christian. Buy your copies today. Do you like receiving a glimpse of the kingdom for free? Would you like to support what God is doing through these resources? Then please consider donating to David Pendergrass Ministries, Inc. today at davidpendergrass.com. There, you can also sign up to receive Dr. Pendergrass's free blog on a wide range of theological, biblical, and relationship issues. That's davidpendergrass.com.
Most pastors will tell you, and of course I'm one of them, that there is no greater joy. There's just no greater joy than being able to do what you think God has called you to, which is to be a pastor. And that involves a whole host of things. But all those things that might seem little, maybe they're not little but to other people, but they are big to a pastor. Pastors are so filled with joy. It's enjoyable to be with people in these moments that are so precious. It is a huge privilege to be at someone at their bedside. A privilege to be with someone at their wedding. A privilege to do premarital counseling. A privilege to teach and preach. On and on it goes. That's one of the best parts of being a pastor, is that you get front row seats. I really mean that. You get instant access to some of the most meaningful, significant events in a human being's life. when you get to be there when babies are born, or roughly near when they would happen, they're at weddings and funerals. On and on. If there's tragedies, joys, I'm just listing. All these kind of things happen. It's an incredible privilege. And of course, one of the most happy times is when someone accepts Jesus, when someone becomes a Christian, especially if you get to lead them to Christ. But even if you don't, to be there not long after it happens, to baptize people. These experiences are so fun, and they're humbling, and they're amazing, and they're phenomenal. To do that, to receive and to experience and to give love is powerful. And it should be, right? I mean, this is the number one virtue given in the Bible, certainly in the New Testament. That's how disciples will be known, Jesus said in John's Gospel, by how they love for one another. And there's nothing like it. I can't fathom any other career for which you receive this kind of fulfillment. Which is why also it hurts so very much when people treat you so profoundly hateful and horribly whenever it happens. Some people never experience it. I have. I've been through some horrible, wretched experiences. It makes it that much worse. Because when you're hurt or betrayed by people you loved so much, it's a very, very painful betrayal. But of course, that's the flip side of going all in and giving your heart and mind. Is that when it's good, it's really, really good. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. And so when you see your pastor, the odds are very high that a lot, if not all these things are true for him or her. And it's good to know that you, even you, can bring your pastor joy. And I hope you bring joy to him as well, or her as well. God bless you. Well, the conversation isn't finished. You can always reach out to me on social media. Are you on Facebook? I am too. At Glimpse of the Kingdom. Glimpse of the Kingdom on Facebook. Be sure to like it and you can see updates there. Also, if you're on Twitter, check me out at Dr. D. Pendergrass, at Dr. D. Pendergrass, or at Glimpse the King, at Glimpse the King. And I try my best to respond to comments and questions on there as quickly as I can. If you want more, there are many more resources on the podcast and my blog. Go to my website, davidpendergrass.com, and you can see a full list of the podcast, and my blog is available for free. Are you active in a church right now? I'd be happy to come out to your church and do all kinds of classes and workshops there. Check out davidpendergrass.com, davidpendergrass.com for more information. And may God in His great grace give you even just a glimpse of His kingdom this week. See you next time.